coolest details of the Inside Out movies is the fact that everyone seems to have their own emotional hierarchy in their headspaces. Riley's central emotion is joy, her mother's is sadness, and her dad's is anger. It makes you wonder, does everyone have their own central emotion in the real world too? That's right, this is gonna be one of those real psychoanalytical wicked binge videos. Today we're deciphering what your favorite Inside Out 2 emotion says about you. Now let's start simple with the main character's head of headquarters, Joy. One of the most important things to remember about this ensemble cast is that they're all personified emotions, and as a result, each of them has their own good and bad traits. Take Joy, for instance. On the bright side, you have a near undefeatable optimism. On the downside, you have a near undefeatable optimism.
This is crazy. This is crazy. No. Joy, be positive.
On top of being a total extrovert, that means your mind is rarely focused on you and almost always focused on the people around you. Joy fans, let's not beat around the bush. You're not the average, everyday kind of extrovert. You're an advanced extrovert, the first to come, last to leave type, the kind who'll take on any job, role, etc. that no one else is willing to do at the function. In short, you're a people pleaser, and you know it, and to some extent you're probably proud of it. And that's fine. People pleasers have their title for a reason, and you're probably one of the most capable, charismatic people in your inner circle. At heart, you want to make sure the people around you are in a good mood, and while you only have the best of intentions, they can sometimes lead to you coming off as controlling or pushy without meaning to. As great as you are at cheering people up, helping others have a good time when it's harder than usual for someone to be cheered up,
Oh yeah, that was super awkward.
you might find it a bit tougher. As caring and thoughtful as you are, you might struggle when things get more negative. Because you want to be as helpful and caring as you can be, you often bottle up your own stress, frustration, and sadness. If you want to help others, you really need to make sure you're helping yourself too. You don't want to give the kid whose brain you're in charge of a mental breakdown, right? From the first movie's most flawed character to that of the second. Next up is Anxiety. Anxiety is the main antagonist of My Life and also of Inside Out 2. Still waiting for those royalties. Like Joy, she's well-intentioned in that she wants to protect Riley from loneliness and disaster. Unlike Joy, however, she doesn't really end up doing any good, objectively. If Anxiety is your favorite, we can definitely guess that you've struggled with her namesake yourself. As a result, you found some catharsis in it being humanized while simultaneously not being downplayed too much. We could probably stop there and call it a day, but let's go further. Honestly, fans of Anxiety probably have pretty creative minds. I mean, the one scene where she's forcing a room of probably underpaid artists to draw up any horrible hypothetical scenario they can think of may have been a little unsettling, but it was still interesting. It's true to how Anxiety actually works, but it was a fun twist to make things easier to stomach. And that's good for you because, let's face it, humor is your main coping mechanism. A moment you're laughing about your problems is a moment you're not crying about them after all, and that's always a good thing. Just make sure you do take the time to cry about them when the need arises. You might be a chronic overthinker, but you're also one of the most thoughtful and caring people around, and less than likely to try and foster paranoia in the mind of a child. You'd never know, though. Let's move from one mental health epidemic to another. Sadness. In the first movie, we learned the valuable lesson that sadness has just as much of a crucial place in life as joy. Life is less black and white than a lot of people realize after all, and if sadness is your favorite, then you're probably very attuned to that fact.
Oh, remember the funny movie where the dog dies?
Yeah.
Out of all of the main emotions and their fans, our best guess is that you're the one whose empathy cuts closest to the core of your character. You're the kind of person who'd sit next to the weird kid at lunch, or if you are/were the weird kid, you'd gladly set that reputation aside to help cheer someone else up.
Really?
While you're much more introverted in your own way, you're every bit as much of a compassionate people pleaser as Joy and her fans. You won't let a lot of people into your inner circle, but those few who are lucky enough to get there will find one of the best friends they could ask for. If we had to say anything negative about Sadness fans, honestly, maybe just don't undervalue yourself so much. Just a thought. Like if your boss tells you to stand in a small circle and do basically nothing all hours of the day, don't just take that lying down. Well, maybe if the pay is good, but while you do it, remember that you are a treasure and never lose that sweet nature you've been blessed with, genuinely. Next we have an emotion of few words, embarrassment. If you're a fan of Embarrassment, I'm gonna guess that at least a decent chunk of your YouTube recommended section is full of embarrassing Reddit story readings. Maybe it's just because they're fun to listen to, or maybe you're just looking for some comfort to distract yourself from whatever embarrassing thing you did that you're still dwelling on. In any case, you probably place a lot more weight on your actions, be they good or bad, than other people do. Know that Cashier is not mad at you personally, nor do they know your deepest, darkest secrets. They're just tired. In short, if there's any character whose fans are just as likely as Anxieties to suffer from her namesake, it's Embarrassment. But that's not to say you don't have your strengths. Your desire to not be embarrassed means you'll take care to not embarrass others too. That makes you, on the whole, a pretty considerate and nice person. Not to mention a forgiving one, always looking for the good in people. You're a flawed person who will generally do the right thing even if it scares you, which ironically makes you one of the more courageous characters on our list. You know nobody's perfect, least of all yourself, so you're happy to see people putting in effort to do the right thing. And you can often play devil's advocate for the people who most others would write off. Next we have the lean, green, not really mean Disgust. You poor thing. You suffer from a condition known as RDF, that is resting disgust face. You might look mean and act mean and sometimes say mean things. Okay, you can be a little abrasive sometimes, but that doesn't make you a mean person, you know? You're just not afraid to speak your mind, even when it might hurt. For every time this might come across as insensitive, there's another where you simply say what needs to be said and what others might be a little too worried to say. You're not afraid to call friends or family out when they do something wrong, and if the favor is returned, you won't take it personally. You'd rather be told there's a problem than have your feelings spared, after all. But while most of your negative traits are probably just misunderstandings, you should be careful how you word things.
Of course your tiny brain is confused. Guess I'll just have to dumb it down to your level. Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
Sometimes feelings are gonna get hurt regardless of intentions, yeah, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't at least try to avoid it. There's telling it like it is, and then there's telling it like a jerk. Just make sure you know which one you're doing. And seriously, join the FBI or something. That facial analysis skill is insane. If you like Disgust's mean-ish girl persona, but want a more cutesy coat of paint, you'll definitely like Envy. With those beady eyes, frizzy hair, and greedy little hands, it's not hard to tell that Envy is more or less the spoiled youngest sibling of the group. If you're a fan of hers, you know what you want, and you're always quick to justify getting yourself a little treat, or a big treat. Just a treat. That's all you need, really. If there's one thing you could stand to improve at, it's impulse control. Yeah, the shirt looks great, but does it really look $35 great? It's hard for you to be fully content, not because you aren't grateful, but because you have a very specific palate, and you just want to make sure the things you have reflect who you really are. Authenticity is at your core. You tend to compare yourself to others, which makes you want to become the person they compare themselves to.
Ooh, look at your hair.
But as accommodating as you are to your own needs, you're every bit as much to those of your friends. You'll be the first to encourage a friend to treat themselves to that thing they almost talked themselves out of buying because they're worth it. The simple fact is that you aren't just greedy or materialistic, you just want to be happy, and by extension, you want the people you love to be happy as well. You may not always be practical, but you're always encouraging, and people love having you around for that. Don't be afraid, Fear fans, your time is now, and we didn't forget about you. Okay, first things first, you're a Luigi fan. That doesn't have much to do with the rest of this segment, but it's so obvious that I had to mention it. Now on to more pressing matters. If you're a fan of Fear, you're a super practical kind of person. You're the mom friend of the group, basically. The one who's always bringing medicine, extra money, or even parachutes, just in case you and your party may need it. You're never one to be caught unprepared, which is good. That said, there are some times you might worry a little bit too much, and that can cause you to sit out and miss out on some fun activities with friends and family at times. What's more, your efforts to be careful and prepared might go unappreciated at times, especially when your concerns get in the way of others' plans, and this might honestly make you a bit unpopular in some scenarios. You're the kind of friend who might not be seen as a life of the party, but the kind who'll be more willing than anyone else to help out when the need arises. There's more to you than meets the eye, though. You might not be seen as a life of the party, but that doesn't mean you can't be.
Yeah, I'm used to that one.
If someone can't appreciate you and your somewhat overprotective self, maybe they're the ones who should be afraid of not getting to know how awesome you are under all those layers of paranoia. Okay, first things first. Apparently we've been misgendering Ennui this whole time. Sorry, girl, but thankfully this is Ennui we're talking about, so she probably doesn't care.
Ennui. It's what you would call the boredom.
The embodiment of boredom itself, Ennui is content with just lying on the couch and chilling on her phone, only really expressing emotion when she's separated from her beloved device. Now we're going to let our inner joy shine through to be optimistic for a second. Hopefully, being an Ennui fan doesn't make you an iPad kid by proxy. What it almost certainly does make you, however, is someone who doesn't care much about what others think of you, and that can be a good or bad thing. The most immediate plus side of being a fan of Ennui is that you're probably a pretty easy person to please. You're low maintenance. As long as you've got food, friendship, and phone, you're all good. You prefer to keep to yourself not out of a lack of wanting to connect with others, but just because you're content that way. But on the downside, you can also be a difficult person to connect with. That might not bother you too much, of course. I guess that's for you to decide. It's cool to wait for others to approach you if that's what you really prefer, but if you want a social life, make sure you actually have the door open for one. Sometimes you just have to step out of your comfort zone, but if you can do that, maybe you'll find people who can step back into it with you. Nearing the end, we now have the last of the original emotions, anger. It might have surprised you guys when we mentioned anger was the leader of Riley's dad's emotions. After all, he's not just a total hothead or anything, but then again, Riley isn't just purely happy all the time either. Let's remember that all the emotions are multifaceted, anger included, whose best character trait is definitely his determination to fight for what he believes in by any means necessary. If you're a fan of anger, that doesn't make you a hothead or aggressive or even particularly angry. If we had to describe you with a single word, it'd be passionate. You don't like to waste any time nor energy when it comes to things that are important to you. You see a problem, you work to fix it. It's as simple as that. You like things done a specific way so you can finally relax. The trouble, well, in all that stress of getting ready to relax, you might forget to, actually relax.
No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
You can end up multiplying your stress exponentially, which could lead to you lashing out on others who don't deserve it. Anger is a powerful tool, but only if it's used correctly, and your passionate, no-nonsense attitude means that your positive words carry all the more weight, so don't be afraid to use them. For the grand finale, we have the fifth and final of Riley's new emotions, nostalgia. She has by far the least screen time out of any of the other emotions in these movies, so if she's your favorite, our best guess about your character is that you're peaceful and content with your life. You look back with fondness on your best memories, and you might share the same story with people over and over just because of how happy it makes you.
Yeah, those were the days.
You're as sentimental as they come. Probably the kind of person who keeps movie ticket stubs just so you can remember that time you went to see Inside Out 2 last week. Good times, right?